Back in 2004, which, yes, was 20 years ago, we're ancient now, Ewan McGregor and Charley Boorman decided they wanted to go on a little motorcycle trip. So they left from London, headed due east, and eventually made it to New York City. They basically lived off these bikes for 3 full months, interacting with camera crews at border crossings and whenever they needed help, but otherwise on their own. And they, as best they could, just took part in whatever cultures they were moving through. It's such an amazing series. Long before we had GoPros, these two with cameras strapped to their helmets and a cameraman on another bike behind them, seeing everything the world had to offer them. Now, if you're a longtime reader or viewer, you might know that I own a BMW F800 GS. I am one of those adventure bike people. One of the things that sold me on that was Long Way Round. It's sort of like a contractual obligation. If you watch it, you have to go out and buy a BMW GS because that's the bike Ewan and Charley rode. Now, mine is smaller and cheaper, possibly worse, but there's got them around. It's maybe the best piece of marketing BMW has ever done for its motorcycles. Over the course of the trip, Ewan, Charley, and their camera operator, Claudio Von Planta, covered nearly 19,000 miles. Again, the long way round the entire Earth. But apparently, that wasn't enough for the two of them. So a couple years later, they made another trip. 2007, the two decide that, well, they've gone around. What if they go vertically? What if they did a long way down? So they went from John O'Groats, the top of Scotland, to the very southern tip of Africa. Long Way Down has a little more interaction with the camera crew. They're a little more obviously supported this time, but it doesn't impede the vibe. It doesn't make it any worse. And it does not stop the two of them from getting a little bit scammed at the equator by someone who totally swore that you can watch water swirl different directions 10 feet off the border. You can't. But of course, if you've got round and you've got down, that leaves the question of up. 13 years later, in 2020, we finally rounded out the trilogy. From Ushuaia, down in South America, all the way up to Los Angeles, but this one was not done on those BMW Boxer adventure bikes. This one was electric. Custom Harley-Davidsons, essentially live-wire hardware on Pan America suspension, more or less. Claudio Von Planta, back again, was on a gas bike, but they only had time to make so many. The support crew also was largely in Rivian trucks, the first 2 Rivian trucks ever made. They had prototype buttons and switches everywhere in the interior. Now you might be wondering, hey, Ushuaia is incredibly cold in the winter, and electric bikes don't have a ton of range. Yeah, I'm glad you thought of that, because Ewan and Charley sure didn't. But that makes for a really nice narrative arc. As they get further north, as temperatures get warmer, they get more comfortable with the bikes, more comfortable with the range, and just the vibes are always on the upswing. It's a good time. If you've only got time to watch one of the 3 series, watch Round, it's the best one. You can find them on Apple TV, but I definitely recommend seeing all 3 if you've got the time. It's so fun to get to spend all this time with this group of friends riding motorcycles through the most beautiful places you've ever seen. And if that's not enough to make you go out and buy an adventure bike yourself, I don't know what is.